Hi, my name is Kim. The channel is Kim After 50 because I just turned 50 and I'm starting my life over, not from scratch, but from experience. This channel will talk about lots and lots of travel, and so many of you have enjoyed my travel content and asked me questions, particularly about Carnival Cruise Line. I have taken 20 some odd cruises, and the vast majority of those have been with Carnival. So this video is going to be part of a series where I share 80 of my top tips for cruising Carnival. And today we're going to start with part one of the series, which is going to be the first 20. These are all, I'm pretty sure, for things that you should do prior to cruising, your embarkation day. That's what it's called. The day you get on the ship is embarkation day. So these tips are going to cover your pre-cruise and day one of your sailing. So let's go ahead and get started. But before we do, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Please leave me a comment. If you are an experienced cruiser and you want to share your favorite tip, please do so below. If you have questions, please do so in the comments, and make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Okay, so tip number one is going to be check your cruise ship deck plans and watch ship tours online. So I'm a person, whenever I do something new, I like to have as much information as I possibly can going into it. It just helps me to not have any anxiety going into it if I know what to expect. So if you have already booked your cruise, you can go to Google and search Carnival Glory, Carnival Venezia, whatever the name of your cruise ship is, deck plans, and I like to add PDF, and you can pull up the deck plans for your cruise ship. That way you can see what you're near. You can kind of get an idea of what is offered on the ship. Now pair that with also going to YouTube and searching whatever the name of your ship is, Carnival Glory ship tour. And there are fabulous YouTubers that go deck by deck and show you what is on that ship. And so when you pair that PDF deck plan along with the video of the ship tours, you're going to walk onto that ship feeling like you kind of have an idea of where things are. And for me, that is always helpful. Tip number two kind of ties into tip number one. If you are considering where to book your cabin, also refer back to those deck plans. A lot of people suggest, if you're prone to seasickness, stick your cabin in the middle of the ship, midship, as opposed to after forward. And also, if you're a light sleeper, you want to know if you're around a nightclub, below the dining room, below a nightclub, near an elevator. If you're a light sleeper, you may want to avoid those places. But bonus tip is to bring some ear plugs that you can pull out and use just in case you are in a louder spot than you had anticipated, because to enjoy your cruise, you got to get good sleep on your cruise. Tip number three is going to be to check in online 2 weeks prior to your sailing. Remember, I'm talking about Carnival cruising right now. You can go online 2 weeks prior to your sailing and check in. The check-in process is just setting up your account as far as how you're going to spend on the ship. Are you going to use a credit card or have a cash account? What time you want to arrive to the port, whether you're coming with your birth certificate or your passport. You're going to give them all that information prior. Even whether you want your beds separated or you want them pulled together like a king size bed, you're going to give them all that information prior to arriving at your check-in process. Like I said, when you're checking in, you're going to be able to let them know, I want to get there early. So you pick an earlier spot, or, I'd rather get on the ship a little bit later. You pick a later spot. You're able to pick the time that you want to come. If you want to pick an earlier time, do your check-in as soon as it becomes available, as in at midnight, 2 weeks prior to your sailing, because those early times get grabbed up pretty fast. Tip number four is to check for price drops. If you check for price drops, just, ever so often after you have booked your cruise, you may be able to get a lower rate on your cruise or get onboard credit. If you book through a travel agent and you discover a price drop, reach out to your travel agent. They will handle that for you. If you booked directly through the cruise line, reach out to the cruise line to get that taken care of. Tip number 5 is to get travel insurance. Some people get it directly through the cruise line. I use a company because I travel quite a bit. I use a company where I get a year-long travel insurance policy, and it just covers all the trips I make within that year. But get travel insurance. They're usually not very expensive, and they cover things that are so very important, from medical emergencies on the ship to lost luggage, damaged luggage. If you have to cancel your trip at the last minute and you're beyond the point where you can get your money back from the cruise line, they cover all kinds of things. Some policies will even cover rental car, the insurance you need for your rental car. So look into travel insurance and get travel insurance. You may not need it, but if you need it, you are going to be so happy that you have it. Tip number 6 is to consider, remember when I talked about doing your check-in, you're going to set up your spending account. When you're on the ship is going to be cashless. So you don't take out money or your credit card and pay for things. You use a Sail and Sign card, which is also your room key, to pay for things on the ship. You attach that Sail and Sign account either to a debit credit card, or you give the ships cash, like a deposit. I would highly recommend that you not use a debit card because they place holds on your money. So for example, we went on Carnival Celebration in October of last year. Everything I spent on the ship, they charged the card for it, my credit card. But they also placed a $600 hold on my credit card. So that $600 was above and beyond what we spent. And it took, I want to say, right around a week for the hold to come off. So for that whole time period that we were back, that week following the time we were back, I didn't have access to that credit on my credit card. So I will not suggest that you use a debit card. I actually prefer to use cash. And if you need to add a little bit more to it because you're spending more than you thought you would, you can just go down and add more cash. And if you spend less than you thought you would, you can just go downstairs like on the last night of your sailing and get your remaining cash back. So do not use a debit card. That's my recommendation. Now you do what you want to do because you grown and you work for your money, but that's my recommendation. Don't use a debit card. Number 7 is make sure that you have your printed boarding documents and your travel documents. So when you log in online, you're able to print out your luggage tags and your boarding pass to get onto the ship. Make sure you have those with you. Print it out and make sure that you have your boarding documents. You can, on most sailings, if you are leaving from and returning to the same U.S. port, you're able to use a birth certificate and a state issued ID. Make sure that the ID that you're using is acceptable to the cruise line. Make sure that your birth certificate is a government issued birth certificate, like from Vital Statistics, or a passport. I'm always going to suggest the passport because it just gives you more peace of mind. Like if you have an emergency while you're in port, like in the Bahamas or Mexico, that passport is going to make it much easier and less expensive for you to get back to America. But I traveled probably my first 10 cruises before I had a passport. So no judgment if you're cruising with a birth certificate. If you can obtain a passport before you're sailing, it just gives you so much more security, more peace of mind. Number 8 is to purchase your drink packages, your excursions, your Wi-Fi package, your specialty dining. Purchase anything you can prior to the cruise because it's going to cost you less. They usually run discounts where it's 10% off, 20% off, whatever, if you purchase it prior to the cruise. So when you're planning out your days, if you know you're going to want to drink enough alcoholic beverages for the price of the drink package to make sense, purchase it ahead of time. If you know you're going to purchase a soda package, purchase it ahead of time, specialty dining, all that stuff. Plus, it just feels good to know that everything is paid for when you step on that cruise ship. Number 9 is to join the Facebook group for your sailing. I say this on almost every video where I talk about cruising, because joining that group can enhance the enjoyment of your sailing so much. What you do is you just go to Facebook and you search the cruise ship you're sailing and the date that you're sailing. So if you're sailing Carnival Glory on December 12th, you go in and just put that in the Facebook search bar, find the group and request to join it. There is usually always going to be a group for your sailing. When you join it, you can ask questions there. You can meet people from your sailing beforehand, get to know them a little bit. Most of these groups are going to have meetups, gift exchanges, sometimes slot pulls for the casino. Like for Christmas, they had the ugly sweater contest. Like within the group, these are not ship sponsored or company sponsored. They're just cruisers that get together and create this group, and it just adds to the enjoyment. Number 10 is going to be to bring cash for tips for your luggage handlers at the port. It's always nice to tip them something per bag. I think we usually do $5 per bag to the luggage handlers for embarkation and debarkation. So it's always nice to bring some cash to tip them, some extra small bills to tip them. And speaking of tips, the way that the cruise ships handle tips, you can prepay your tips, okay? But the way Carnival handles your tips is, at the current moment, it is $16 per person per day for most cabins, $18 per person per day if you are in a suite. And what they do is, on the last night of the sailing, they charge your account for everybody in your cabin for their tips. So make sure that you're prepared to pay that. You can also bring cash to tip your room stewards or waiters or whatever above and beyond what that minimum is. And the minimum on Carnival is not a requirement. So there are people that go down to guest services and they adjust the tips. They either say, take off all the tips, I want to tip whoever I want to tip in cash, or they say, take off half the tips. Whatever. You're not required to pay these tips, but do consider that the people on the cruise ship work so hard for you, and it is not really possible for you to tip in cash everyone that has put in work to make your vacation amazing. There are lots of people that work behind the scenes, and these automatic gratuities are divided amongst all of them. So they're not required, but just please consider how hard they work to make your vacation amazing, and be prepared to pay them, because I have seen where some people were surprised on that last day by that charge. So just be prepared, know that it's going to happen, prepared to pay them, or if you opt to tip in cash, how you tip is up to you, because again, like I said earlier, it's your money. You work for your money and you make the financial decisions that make sense to you, right? Okay. Number 12, you can bring on Carnival Cruise, you can bring 1 bottle of wine or champagne up to 750 milliliters per cruiser over the age of 21. 12 sealed, unopened cans or cartons of non-alcoholic beverages per person. So those can be sodas, those can be water, as long as it's unopened cans or cartons. Those can be juices. You can bring 12 per person. So remember that, but you do have to carry it on. You cannot pack that in the luggage that is taken on board for you. You do have to carry that on. So take that into consideration when you're bringing your drinks. Speaking of carry-on, pack a carry-on bag for the cruise with your essentials. And I don't believe there's a size limit on the carry-on bag that you bring on the cruise, but you want to have all of your essential items that you're going to need for day one, because you don't know what time your luggage will be delivered to your cabin. So we like to pack 1 outfit for every person in their carry-on, a bathing suit, all of the things that they need, medicines and things like that they need, and some of the personal hygiene items that they need to get through, plus our wine and our sodas, to get through that first day. because if your luggage is delayed getting to your cabin, you don't want to panic and you don't want to not be able to enjoy your cruise. You want to be able to change into your bathing suit and go hang out in the hot tub or by the pool or whatever, instead of having to sit in your cabin and wait for your luggage before you can really start your vacation. Number 14 is going to be to put your, y'all, number 14 is going to be to put your phone on airplane mode as soon as you get on board, okay? Make sure you download the Carnival Hub app. Download that as soon as you book your cruise, because it serves as basically just a countdown until it's actually time to cruise. But once you get on board, you want to put your phone on airplane mode, connect to the Carnival Wi-Fi, and at that point, that Carnival Hub app becomes everything. It becomes your calendar. It becomes a way to chat with other people that are in your party or other people you meet on the cruise ship. It becomes how you look at what you're going to have for lunch or dinner that day. It is the map of where things are on the cruise. So prior to sailing, it's basically just a countdown. I have 27 days to my cruise, 26 days to my cruise. But once you get on board, it is your lifeline. So make sure you download the Carnival Hub app. And then as soon as you get on board, cut your phone on airplane mode and connect to the Wi-Fi so that you can use your app. If you do not cut your phone on airplane mode, you could come back to a hefty bill for roaming charges. So make sure that you do that. All right. Go to your muster station as soon as you get on board and get that muster or safety drill out of the way. The ship cannot leave port until you've done it. So just get it out of the way as soon as you get on board. And then once you've done that, it kind of just feels like the vacation has officially begun. But don't procrastinate on it. Don't make the captain get on the loudspeaker and ask you over and over again to come get your muster done. It's a requirement. It's maritime law. Just get it done as soon as you get on board. Speaking of your vacation officially starting, go to the sail away party. Carnival is known for its sail away party. You are going to have a time. Listen, I'm a quiet, introverted person. I am not ever in the middle of the dance floor. I'm off to the side, you know, doing a little bit of this because that's about as much as I can do. But go to the sail away party. It is just a great way to celebrate the start of your vacation with your fellow travelers. For a quieter, more relaxed deck experience, well, okay, this was kind of out of place. It should have been on a list for later, but I'm going to go ahead and read it now because I'm here. Number 17, for a quieter, more relaxed deck experience, visit the Serenity Deck. I can't tell you how many times I have mentioned the Serenity Deck to a fellow cruiser and they don't know what it is. The Serenity Deck is an adults only deck, and it is, as the name implies, a serene place. So you're going to be able to relax without kids running around, without the noise of children running around. They're usually really, really pretty, like with just a wonderful vibe. So make sure you check out the Serenity Deck. Number 18, if you're interested in a spa experience while you're on the cruise, go to the tour that happens on the first day. You'll usually be offered some kind of discount as opposed to the listed price for different spa services or spa passes at that time. So go check that out, but you definitely get some discounts and enter raffles to win things and stuff like that on the first day of the cruise. Many ships have this is number 19. Many ships have self-service laundry, a laundry area, like a little laundromat on the ship. So if you are packing lighter for like airline luggage limits and things like that, keep in mind that that is an option for you to bring a little laundry detergent and do a little laundry while you're on board. Keep that in mind, especially if you're cruising with small children who may have accidents on their clothes, spill things on their clothes. Most ships do have a self-service laundry, and on that PDF deck plan that I talked about earlier, you'll be able to find out exactly where that is on the ship. And number 20, last but not least, the rooms can get stuffy. So you can pack a little portable small fan that you can put right on the bedside table. You can also request a fan from your cabin steward, but they have a limited number of fans and you may or may not be able to get one from the cabin steward. So I just suggest packing one so that you know you have one. And while you're packing that, go ahead and pack a non-surge protector power strip, because the depending on the ship, or on most ships, there's a limited number of plug-in stations, USB stations, and on some ships they're in the weirdest, most obscure places. So make sure you pack a non-surge protector power strip. If you go to Amazon and just type in like cruise approved power strip, it'll come up for the non-surge protector power strips. While you're at it, pack some magnetic hooks. Search those too, magnetic hooks for a cruise on Amazon, because your cabin walls are going to be metal. They'll stick to your cabin walls and you'll be able to hang your purses, your bathing suits, your hats, and things like that. Because cabins are small, it just creates better organization in your cabin. So that is my first 20. Remember, this is a 4-part series, and I want to kind of go in order of like, this one is pre-cruise to the first day, and then we'll do while on board, excursions, and then debarkation. So that's what I'm thinking I'm going to do right now. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel for those additional lists. Make sure you leave me a comment. And again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video and hopefully at sea one day. Bye-bye.